Hello.
Hey, welcome back. It's been a while,
Yeah, it has been.
but we have a lot to cover here on week 5.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, it's Answers by Guests, the inside scoop from outside the box. Just really quick, just to get out the preliminaries. Follow us on Facebook. Go on YouTube. Subscribe. We'd love if you would hit those emojis, those like buttons, those heart buttons. TikTok, Patreon. We got the new QR code up in the right-hand side. That's something new. Yeah. And I got to say, last Saturday, man, it was like old time. You and Rob together. I was like, this is nice. This is really nice. I caught the end of the show live on Saturday and then rewatched all of it on Sunday morning. So, yeah.
Little nostalgia.
It was old times. It was nice to hear. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Excellent show.
I'm sure he'll come back once or twice. And like I keep teasing the audience with, if we have one at all, we'll have a threesome sooner or later. We'll be on here together, all three of us. You mentioned the QR code. The other thing I really like is down in the bottom right-hand corner, the live comments popping up. So there'll be comments from all the places that we're streaming. You type, you'll be live on the screen. You won't have to wait for us to click the button. We can, but it'll be there always. Which is good, because if people are watching on Facebook, they can never see what the YouTube people are saying unless we put it on the screen. So this time we even got Twitch people. I think we had a spam artist on there last week. That was good.
Oh, nice. Wow. We'll see what happens today.
Yeah, let's see what the cat.
There is a lot. Yeah, there is a lot to talk about, especially since we didn't do a Tuesday show. And so why don't we get started if you'd like, and we'll start attacking week number 5.
Yeah, I'm ready. And there's going to be something. I mean, first time maybe ever in 9 years of doing the show. I might have a question for you all. So I might have a question. Now, I think my mind is made up, but a little bit of fan participation, a little bit of family participation. If you want to give your answer, I will take it to account. So just a little teaser for something later on.
All right. Well, let's get started. Week number 5. So I go with this, started off with Thursday night. The 49ers, 26, the Rams, 23. So Mac Jones played. Purdy was not able to play. And one thing you mentioned a few weeks ago when Mac Jones came in, you felt he would do well when he would fill in because of the system. No 3 starting wide receivers for the 49ers. So, of course, Demarcus Robinson, Kendrick Bourne, CMC, and then your boy Jeff Tonjes came through. A couple stats. Kendrick Bourne, 11 targets, 10 receptions, 142 yards. CMC, 9 targets, 8 for 82 and a TD plus 57 rushing yards. And then your boy Jack Tonjes, 11 targets, 7 for 41 with a TD. And then on the Rams side, their main guys, I mean, that's who you're going to be wanting to play. Stafford Puka, Devontae Adams, Kyren Williams, big numbers in this game from those players. I didn't watch the game, but I don't know your any thoughts about the Rams and the 49ers. I was surprised at the score. A lot of people were taking the Rams defense and didn't fare too well.
Yeah, first and foremost, this is not the Guest Gazette. This is the Bridges Britannica or the Bridges
Broadsheet. I got the next one. This was still Thursday.
Oh, okay. I want to give you yours. Okay, so this is the Guest Gazette because you didn't watch the game. So first things foremost, this game was the NFL as a whole in a nutshell. right? Everybody going to this game, slam the Rams, bet your mortgage on the Rams. The 49ers have nobody, bet the Rams. The Rams aren't losing, and right off the bat, it's 14-0 San Francisco. I mean, that's just how the NFL goes. When you think it's going to zig, you got to zag. We talked about it many years ago on Answers by Guess. I would say probably our second season, maybe our third. The way to really get through fantasy is by zigging when other people zag. Everybody's running one way. Sometimes you got to look the other way. And that's sort of what we've been doing over the past few seasons. And we'll talk about that a little more on, too, of what basically Answers by Guess always was meant to be and certainly has become. But this game, there was a question by, I think, Spencer, who's a member of the family on Facebook. And he really liked DeMarcus Robinson. I liked his other choice. I said, go with your gut, though. I mean, DeMarcus Robinson, I loved him coming out of Florida. Loved him early on in his career. He seems to pop whenever he gets the opportunity, is what I told him. He had a couple chances, didn't do much. It's the guys that you mentioned. There was no real surprises in this, except for the fact that they tried. Kyron already sort of got going, but they tried to get Blake Corum going, and he lost a fumble. And after that point, it was pretty much he was not going to get that many chances anymore. So the Blake Corum type of thing that we were sort of hitting at and waiting on, I think we have to keep waiting on that. So if you pick them up now, you could probably get rid of them after this game if you want to pick up somebody before the Sunday games. Because I think it's going to be a little while before we can use him again, because McVay didn't like that fumble. He did give him more chances, but that certainly knocked him down a few pegs.
Yeah, well, it's a very surprising game. The Rams next week are playing the Ravens, which should be a very interesting game. And the 49ers, I was just surprised by that score, and we'll see if they can get healthy for next week. All right, now
just to close the coffin on this game, McVay blew it. I mean, why are you going for it 4th and 1 when all you got to do is kick a field goal, go into overtime? I think that you had them on the ropes. The only reason the 49ers got that field goal at the end was because they got up the field with the penalty. So. McVay was silly to do that, to go for the win. I know that Green Bay got some grief for playing for the tie against Dallas, but a tie is certainly better than a loss, but they can live with it for a week. Go ahead. I think you froze on me. Did you freeze?
Yeah, I think I'm back. Am I back?
You're back. Let's go.
I'm back. All right. 49ers play the Buccaneers next week, too, by the way. All right.
Okay. There
it's
it is.
The Bridge Beat.
Love it.
Week five headlines. So I'm just going to sum this up. Is obviously week 5, the bye week, the Steelers, Falcons, the Bears, and the Packers. So we've got that combination of players who have put up some pretty good numbers. I'll say last week my opponent had 3 Green Bay Packers. Love, Jacobs, and Doubs, who put up 8 touchdowns. So obviously you're losing some of these players who've been putting up some big numbers. And now, besides the buys, you throw in all these injuries, which we'll be talking about quite a bit through the show as we highlight the games. And I feel like a mad scientist, like looking at the questions coming in, trying to figure out what's the best mix. So I think that's sort of the theme. How can we find these little pieces and put together the best lineup this week? And finally, just to make sure people know, tomorrow morning, the Vikings and Browns are playing in London. It's a 9:30 game, so just be aware of that. So that's some of the highlights. We're going to talk a little bit of injuries, not only right now after this slide, but we'll also talk about them during the highlights of each of the games. So this is a little bit of a laundry list of injuries. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, many people thought he just, was given up against KC, but he's out. Bucky Irving, Trey Benson, Chuba Hubbard, Tyreek Hill, Brock Bowers, along with Mayers is out, Tyrone Tracy, CeeDee Lamb, and Kavontae Turpin, Braylon Allen, Cedric Tillman, Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, Mike Evans. I did highlight J.J. McCarthy, Miles Sanders, Juwan Johnson, and I did want to highlight 3 teams because I think it's had affected them last week. The Ravens have 2 players out in their secondary. That showed a little bit against the Chiefs last week. The Chargers are missing 2 offensive linemen, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with the pressure. We'll talk about that game later. And the Cowboys, of course, they've been missing some secondary, and they are playing in some shootout games. And the Seahawks also have 2 starters in the secondary out. So just wanted a laundry list of all this plus the buys, and there's more injured. We're going to attack this, and we're going to start with some questions, Gus.
Okay.
The lightning segment. We'll get some of these things out of the way, and then we'll go highlight some of these games. So, Chris, I'm doing a double duty here. Also, he wants to pick 3 wide receivers. I think he says Buka, Keenan Allen, Pittman, and BTJ. So, and he also said he wants to pick 3 for running backs with his list there. So let's start with the wide receivers.
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep Egbuka in with no Evans. If you catch me looking at my phone, I'm running an auction, sports card auction, and I got to keep tabs on that. I got to end it at 10 o'clock. So hopefully I'm not too distracted. Egbuka, definitely playing. And I kind of like BTJ for the Monday Night Magic at home. I know that it's been not great, but they're at home, and I feel like the Chiefs offense is going to bring it, and they're going to have to be doing a little bit of catch up. So it comes down to Keenan Allen and Pittman for me. I want to say Pittman, but I think I'm going to go with Keenan Allen.
All right.
Just because Pittman is that up and down sort of thing, and he had a pretty good one last week.
Yeah, last week I put up a sheet of most targets of wide receivers, and BTJ was right up there with quite a few targets. He was in, I think, the top 15, but they haven't been able to hit him. So it'll be interesting. I think he's due, but he is getting looks. They just haven't been able to hit him. So for Chris, he wants to know on the pick 3 running backs, Taylor Jenkins, Rachaad White, Marks, Chase Brown, or Chark.
3 of those, huh? I'm going to keep rolling with Marks. I think he'll get even more burn this week. Judkins, I'm going to go with. I know it's a tough matchup. It's that early one, too. But with a rookie quarterback, I think that they'll try to lean on him as much as they can. I know the Vikings are tough against the run, but I like what I've seen out of him as a pass catcher. So then it comes down to I'm not doing Rachaad White. I get it with no Bucky. And I feel like they'll turn to, what is it, Taylor? Is that Sean Taylor? Am I thinking? Yeah. When Bucky's been out, they sort of give him more. I think White's going to stay in the role, which is a fine role. The Sharp got the goal line ones last week. I think it'll be a little bit tougher this week for them. So Chase Brown, do you really want to dibble-dabble with Browning? And as bad as he's looked, I mean, he looked better last week. They certainly corrected a little bit of what I thought had happened to them in week 3. I'm going to just go with Jonathan Taylor. He's hot. I'm going to go with him. It'll be tough against, I want to say Oakland, Vegas, but I'm going to go with Taylor, Judkins, and Marks.
All right. Jason, so I wasn't able to get his team in the screenshot because it was very small and foggy. And he's still trying to decide on the final starting wide receiver spot. He doesn't want to start Ridley. He needs help with that. The way I pasted, he had some really good receivers. It looks like he has McMillan and Debo, in his lineups, but he also had Amron, Harrison, and Sutton, and he also seemed to have I think it was Drix, but he's on a bye. So I asked him maybe to clarify or provide some information. I don't know if you were able to see that question or not.
Well, I think
couldn't read it.
I feel like I did see this, and I feel like I did answer it. I said he's got a ton of options, if I remember correctly. And I think I even gave him a top 3 out of those on there. Maybe I can look and see. I got to get out of the auction.
Okay. Well, while we're looking at this, I'll give you another question here that came in. Would you trade Penix in a 4th round pick for Fields and a 5th round pick?
I kind of get the feeling that I think the Field sides wins, even with the lesser draft pick. But I feel like it's a little bit risky because there's a chance. I mean, if things go completely sideways, they already talked about it with Tyrod Taylor possibly starting over Fields. I don't know how they do that. It would be silly. They need to keep Fields there this year and next year. And I don't think Penix is going to be long for the job. I would love him to be. I feel like this trade is super equal. In worst case, what you're doing is losing a draft spot. I think if both quarterbacks go to the wayside, you traded essentially a 4th rounder for a 5th rounder. But I like Fields a lot more than Penix, and I certainly like him more than a 1-round difference. So I think it's relatively easy. If you really were ready to give up the draft capital, I think you'll do better this year with Fields so long as they stick with him than you would have with Penix.
All right. I'm seeing if
yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, man, I see a lot on this list of his. I mean, I'm just
I'm seeing a list. He's got Bond, Bourne, Bateman.
So here's what
here we go. Westbrook.
Jason, if sorry to cut you off. All right. If you are watching the show right now, which I hope you are, because I'm looking at this list, you need to do whatever you need to do. Hopefully you are high on the waiver wire and you need to pick up. We haven't talked about the game yet, but I'm ready to say this now. You need to get Ladd McConkey. This is the Ladd McConkey week. He goes off of waivers at 3 a.m. He's 10-5, which is tomorrow, 3 a.m., because they're on the West Coast, Yahoo. He will go off waivers. If you are number 1 on the waiver wire, you spend that on him now. This is going to be the week that he has a good week. Not only the coverage that he's going against, but also their offensive line issues that Marty put a spotlight on in the beginning. They're going to have to get the ball out quick. That's why I kind of like Keenan Allen, because he's that quick possession guy. He's not a downfield type of guy. They're not going to have time for that. They're going to need the quick over the middle stuff. This is a Ladd McConkey week this week. He's one of my favorite DFS plays before we even get to that game. Everybody's low on him. They're souring on him. I'd get him. And I think that if he has a good week and you think that maybe that's not going to continue, they're going to go back to the other things no matter what happens, you could sell him high after this week. I think he's automatically you have to get. I like Ayo Manor going against Arizona, and I don't think you would be too bad with Troy Franklin going against Philly as well. And then if I want to go even further down the list, you're getting a guy that I am going to be a mad scientist with this week, and that's Mr. Isaiah Bond for the Cleveland Browns. So there's just guys right there. I mean, but you have to get Ladd McConkey. This is the week. This is the week for him. He's been silent all year. They got offensive line issues. He's going to have to get the ball out quick. This is the Ladd McConkey week.
Yeah, for sure. And Ridley's questionable with elbow and ankle injuries, so he may play, but I think great suggestions there, Guess. All right. Landon says, best quarterback to start this weekend, Drake May, Daniel Jones, or Dak?
I think I'm just going to continue. I know it's the Jets, but I think I'm going to go with Dak. I know that Drake May's getting a ton of love, and I know they're going against Buffalo. Um, the Daniel Jones one, they are at home, but for some reason, I feel like the Raiders are going to give him fits. If you like Drake May more than Dak this week, I guess I could get behind it, but they're on the road Sunday night, and I feel like it's going to. The only reason I like Drake May a little is Stephon Diggs came on last week. I said to Rob on the Saturday show, I'm like, where's he been? What's he been doing? He's got to do something, and he did. He had a huge game, and going against his old team, the Buffalo Bills, he's going to be fired up. So that's the only reason I'd be okay if you like Drake May, but I really like Dak this week against the Jets. I think Justin Fields is going to do great against that defense. So I think Dak's going to have to keep pace, and he's proven that he can do that without CD. I know their offensive line has issues, but again, we don't want to talk about it too much. Actually, they'll save us time when we get to the games. Jaden Blue is going to play, I think, this week with no Miles Sanders. So that's another guy he could check down to and make something happen. So I like Dak most out of these guys.
All right. Derek asks, I need a flex. I think you answered this, but I always like to throw this back up because it was a few days ago. See if you change your mind. Mason, Michael Carter, or Troy Franklin.
Yeah, the Mason one's really tough because Cleveland is so tough. But I like what he's doing. I know that they're using, was it Scott, I think is his name, as well. The Carter thing, he is going to be the starter. DeMarcado is going to steal the third down work. I do like Franklin. I just mentioned him. I think if I still had to, I think Troy Franklin has a chance to score more than them all, but he has a chance to also score less. So I would sort of look at the matchup. If you need just a solid floor to get by, Derek, I think Mason is that. I think you're easy to get an average amount that whatever you need in your league, whether that's 10 points, 15, 8, based on your scoring. If you need that, you take the safe floor with Mason. If you need to hit a home run, I think you go with Franklin. I think I'm just going to leave the Michael Carter. I liked him when he was at Jets. The Jets did him wrong, but he's a practice squad guy. He is their first string. But that offense at times, I mean, Trey Benson was really the only thing doing anything for them. And I don't think Michael Carter is Trey Benson.
All right. The Smitty from YouTube, Marks or White?
What's up, Smitty? I just answered this sort of where somebody else, he had White and he had Marks, and I had to choose 3, and Marks was one of the 3 I chose. He was one of my guys from the preseason. He was a 5 guy for your eye very early on, and he's finally got the amount of playing time he needed to succeed last week. I think he'll continue to get even more this week. They got a little bit of issues, but I do like him better than White. White's role is not going to change. They're going to use Tucker, and White is going to stay that guy. And White has been relatively successful in that role this year, but I think Woody Marks is a 3-down guy, and Rachaad White's not going to give you 3 downs. Tucker's going to be the guy getting the first and the second.
All right. Keith. So tough choice for me. May or Hurts. Buffalo's tough, but possible shootout potential.
Yeah, I answered this for him. I said I'm sticking with Hurts. I'm not taking Hurts out. And again, I get the idea with May this week. And the only reason I kind of like May even a little is because Diggs finally showed up last week, and now he's playing against his old team. But Buffalo's going to give him fits. It's in Buffalo. It's a night game. I'm going with Hurts. Hurts is going to continually give you a little bit on the ground. You'll get a rushing TD. You'll get a couple passing. And that should be a relatively offensive game. So I'm going with Hurts still. I answered that earlier in the week, and I'm sticking with it.
Excellent. All right, Spencer. Pick 2, Nix, Murray, or Young.
You know, I could say stick with the guys that will give you the ground yardage, and some might automatically think that's Murray and Young, but it's Nix and Murray. And I know that the Dolphins defense is terrible, but they actually played not too terrible last week. They were at home, and now they're on the road. But Bryce Young got pulled, and the game was a little out of control. But this coaching staff is not married to him, and they're fine putting Dalton in. I'm going to go with the guy that no matter what's happening in the game, I don't think that Nix or Murray are going to get pulled. I just don't trust it right now with the head coach in Carolina. I know the game situation is what it was last week, but I'm going to go with Nix and Murray. I want guys who have a better chance of being in there the entire time.
All right. Antonio, asking about your concert. That's where we went on last Tuesday. But he has Henry, Cooks, Warren, and Pollard. Do you think it's a good move to drop Pollard and get Justice Hill? You answered this, but I thought this was a pretty good question because a lot of people saw Justice Hill make a couple big plays. And it's one of those mad scientist things. He's doing some things, and people are really low on Pollard. Now, we'll talk about that game, Titans, but there's Spears is potentially could be coming back. Right. And I think Pollard will be better with Spears in the lineup. But anyway, what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned last week when it was Rob and I doing the show. I said I feel like Pollard is missing Spears. He's missing somebody else to take a little bit of that load off. Spears might be back this week. You know who else might be back? Keaton Mitchell. They haven't really activated him and had him play at all. And Hill did what he did, and Hill always does what he does. And then Hill disappears or Hill gets hurt. I was a Justice Hill fan way back in 2018 when he was a rookie. Just waiting. Finally, he pops. He's good for a couple games. He gets hurt. And the same thing happens to Keaton Mitchell, it seems. It's the same exact story. But I'm not going to go down to Justice Hill fantasy land. He could outproduce Pollard for the next 3 weeks. And I don't think it's the right move to drop Pollard for Hill. I just don't.
All right. Jeremy, he started the Rams D, so he was -2. We talked about that already. He needs wide receivers with DK on the bye and Pierce out. Currently, he's starting Addison in Hollywood. Is there anything better out there? So he's got Ridley, he's got Coleman, Bourne, Tolbert, Robinson, who already played, Downs, McCaffrey, Mims. Long laundry list there. I don't know if there's really anything better out there. Yeah.
I just go with Woody.
Yep. He's hoping the best for Woody there, but
for
his receivers, I think you go with Addison.
I mean, you throw Booty in there and could do well. Could get a goose egg. Well, not goose egg, but he'll do something. They're all the same guys. Jalen Tolbert, a lot of beefing up about what he did last week, but really he didn't do nothing until I think that one catch in overtime. I'm a big Jalen Tolbert fan, have been for years, but he just never capitalizes on a moment. And Keon Coleman, same exact story. I've been tooting his horn for 2 years. He shows up and then disappears. I think you just stick with Woody and you just go for it. Just go for it. And listen, you started the Rams D. You start off saying I started the Rams D -2 like it was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It was a smart play. Did it work out? No, but it's the right move. You put the Rams D in because the 49ers were down just about all their positive offensive players. It's the NFL. This is what happens. You go with what is the best thought process, the thing that has the most highest probability. Fantasy football is a game of probability. They had a very high probability of scoring high as a defense. Did it work? No. But it was the right move. It was the right move. You got -2, so what? Pull up your pants and get ready for tomorrow.
All right. Well said, Keith. He has a Keith's guy for your eye. Bo Collins played with Dart all summer. So you did love that. We'll talk about that more probably into next week, but maybe something to watch for tomorrow.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on that real quick, and then we got the Twitch questions as well. We can answer those. But I want to touch on Keith's question. Keith's coming out with
before we get into the week 5 match.
I think I was. Am I blotchy or is he blotchy? Could somebody type in the comments? Can you hear me, Marty? Can you hear me? Am I off the air? Am I here? If you're here, say hello.
I'm able to hear you.
Okay. I just want to say about Keith.
I can hear you.
Keith thing real quick. Keith had a guy for your eye. This is what Answers by Guess is. That's what we always have been. I'm glad somebody typed in hello. Thank you. Was that you that typed that in, Marty? Keith, this is what Answers by Guess has been for the past 8+ years. This is our 9th season. I'm a teacher. It's what I do for my profession. That's what I do for my job. And my goal, mine and Rob's goal when we started this, was not to necessarily feed you fish every single week, but to get you in the right mindset that you can think outside of the box like we do, zig when others zag, and do it yourself. Teach you how to fish. And with Keith coming out and being like, hey, I got a guy for your eye, just like I do 5 guys for your eyes every single week with Marty, that's what we want. We want you to essentially be able to do this on your own. That's why we had guys in our first season who are with us every single show, were asking us questions every single day. Then we never heard from him again. A guy, his name was Noah Palmer. He was around the first 2 seasons. He was the #1 family member for Answers by Guess. He disappeared after that. Not because he didn't like us, not because we told him wrong information, but because he didn't need us anymore. Hendrik, a dude from Germany, was our #1 guy for the next 2 years. And we haven't seen him on the show at all. That's what we want, is we want people to be able to look for these type of guys, look for these type of loopholes that you can get through and navigate before others and people in your league do, so that we don't have to give it to you, so you could do it on your own type of thinking.
All right. Question, Jacob, Flex, DeMarcado, or JCM?
You know, before the Carter scenario, I would have loved to say DeMarcado. And I was a big JCM guy. The preseason show I did this year, I was telling everybody I drafted him relatively a couple rounds sooner than others. I was like, he's going to start to jump up. He hasn't gotten quite the playing time that we hoped. They're circling in even after the Eckler injury. But going against the Chargers, I think it makes that decision kind of easy for me. The only problem is DeMarcado is going to be the 3rd down guy for the most part. Are the Titans going to be able to do enough on offense where he's going to be used in the game more often than not? I think I would go with JCM. The coaches talked him up quite a bit this week. Basically, along the lines of, he's the only one on our team that can do everything. So he's going to be a factor as the season goes on. It's very tough this week against the Chargers, but I think I would go with him. And he's actually part of my question.
All right. We have some questions.
Go ahead.
All right. We're going to go through a couple games here. We still have some questions, so we'll go with it there. But first, we're going to talk about tomorrow morning's game. The biggest thing here, the Vikings lost their center going on IR. And on the Browns, Dylan Gabriel is going to be the starting quarterback. So the over-under very low. They're playing in London. What's your thoughts on the Vikings and Browns?
Well, I talked about how I'm sort of using I'm making, this is what I'm doing this week. I've said all along with the first part of the season. Remember that we're starting part 2 of part 1 when week 3 was upon us and people were confused. Part 1 of the season, the first 4 weeks. This is part 2. I said this is when you can start to make some bold moves. I'm starting in my most important league now. Granted, I had Pearsall out, I had Mike Evans out, and I'm waiting for Rice's suspension to end. I think Marty's frozen there, so hopefully I'm not. I'm starting Isaiah Bond in a 14-team league. It's my third wide receiver. I think his connection with the rookie quarterback, I don't know if Marty's praying, if he froze or what, but Marty, if you can hear me, one of the best things to do is sign out and then sign back in, but I'll continue. I think somebody before was asking the question about Jordan Mason. I know the Browns defense is tough, but I'm fine with Jordan Mason in this game. Obviously, you're going to continue to play the top 2 wide receivers for the Vikings. And for the Browns, I really like Isaiah Bond this week with the rookie quarterback coming in. They were both practicing together throughout the offseason. They played together with the twos for the first 4 weeks or 3 weeks at least. But with Tillman out, and with Joe Flacco not playing or not starting, I think that you pretty much have to just – Judy is an option, but Judy is that dude that doesn't do too much. He had those couple weeks last week. It looks like last year. It looks like you're a little unfrozen, Marty, but you're kind of frozen. If you can hear me, sign out and then sign back in. So I think Bond is going to be the best one for the Browns. I think this one could be a low-scoring game, but I think you continue to use those top 3 Vikings. Hawkinson if you need them. Because Marty's signing out, Jacob, I'm going to throw up your other question. Available tight ends if Juwan doesn't play. I love Theo. I'm a big fan. Strange, I've never been on the bandwagon. Schultz is Schultz, and you can't use Tonjes anymore because he already played. And he had a good game. So it would have been your chance to throw him in on Thursday, but he already played. Here's what you do. You go and if you have an IR and Juwan doesn't play, or even if he doesn't, you put him on the bench, you drop somebody else. Guess who's coming back this week before we even get to the game? Marty will be back in here. He should be aware of this. You might be aware of this, but Taysom Hill's coming back. Taysom Hill is going to play tight end. Taysom Hill is going to play quarterback. And you are going to have a tight end that's going to get some quarterback, some running back, some tight end points. That's who you play, whether Juwan plays or not. And if Juwan doesn't play, Taysom Hill is who you want. So forget all these names on the board. I like Theo Johnson. Schultz is Schultz. Strange, everybody loves more than I do. Now I got to add him to the stage. Are you there? So I was just saying, the question's up on the air. Can you see it?
I think
Jacob was asking if Juwan doesn't play. He gave Theo Johnson, which I love. Strange, which I've never really been a fan of. Schultz is Schultz. Tonjes already played. I gave away something I was going to talk about in the game that I said maybe you should know. You pick up Taysom Hill. Because Taysom Hill is probably going to play this week, and he's going to be a quarterback, and he's going to be a running back, and he's going to be a tight end, and that's who you pick up. You put him in the game because the Saints wouldn't be playing him and taking him off of IR if he wasn't ready to go. He's ready to go, and that's what you do. That's who you scoop. On to the next one. Isaiah Bond was who I talked about in this game, Marty. I'm throwing him in my lineup. I'm making a week 5 executive, sexy, crazy decision. That's what I do. And I got another one, too, that we'll talk about as we go on.
All right. Well, I'm having a little bit of connection issues, as you guys know, so I apologize. Okay. We'll see if we can get through it. All right.
They held it down.
Broncos against the Eagles. You know, a lot of people are still soured on Hurts and A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. On the Broncos side, Harvey's been getting a little bit more touches and making an impact there. How do the Eagles do against these Broncos coming in? Nick's Knicks can run the ball. He's got Franklin. He's got Sutton. Sutton's been hot. What are some of the things that you see here in the Broncos-Eagles game? Some people are soured on Hurts and want to start some other quarterbacks too.
Yeah, like I said before, I have to tend to this auction I'm running, so I'll be doing that while I talk about this. I already talked about Troy Franklin. Sutton, I think, is fine this one. RJ Harvey, you started to see a little bit more of him. We saw a glimpse in week one. After the week one slate happened, we came on for halftime adjustments, week 1.5 on Tuesday before week 2, and I said, I really like how RJ Harvey looks. Then for the next 3 weeks, they just didn't use him. And then finally started to look the part. I think he burst on the scene a little bit. If he's available in your league, I'd scoop him now. Listen, the Broncos on the road, still good defense, just not the same defense that they are at home. And especially going against the Super Bowl champ, the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this game's going to have a lot of points. I think the Broncos will be able to score. I think the Eagles will be able to score. So I'm fine throwing them both in there. And I really like the over on this one. I don't think that we should sour away from Hurts by any means.
Okay. Next game. Las Vegas Raiders going to Indianapolis to play the Colts. The Colts are favored by 7. Over under is 47.5. One of the things here is this going to be the wide receivers, Trey Tucker, coming back into this game because both Bowers and Mayer are out. For the Colts, they've been running the ball really well. Jonathan Taylor's playing well. I think they've only punted maybe twice the entire season. And Indiana Jones is still making it happen. Now, the Raiders defense has surprised us when they've come out to the East Coast, or here they're in the Midwest. And they've surprised some teams when we thought they wouldn't do well. What's your take here on the Raiders, especially with their tight ends out? They haven't done a whole lot with them anyway. Is Geno going to give the ball, or is he going to be slinging it around to these wide receivers, Jacoby and company?
Yeah, the Colts defense has looked better, and they're at home where they're going to play even better. If you remember last season, I know every season's different, but last season the Colts at home were a really solid defense. The Colts on the road were not. The offense was putrid as well. So I would imagine that should continue into this game. Geno is starting to sort of maybe turn into a pumpkin. I said that the Ashton Genty experience was going to start full force last week, that it did. So I think that they'll lean heavily on him. They're still not using Dante Thornton, which I don't quite understand. Jacoby Myers doing whatever he does. You get the Trey Tucker experience that everybody's going through. We told them what was basically going to happen. For the Colts, I like both the running backs in this one. Michael Pittman last week, I thought he'd have a good week, but Michael Pittman is the epitome of ebbs and flows. Alec Pierce, I think he's hurt, if I'm not mistaken.
Pierce is out. Pierce is out.
I'm not a Josh Downs guy. You can use Tyler Warren in this one.
All
Trying
right.
to pick up some time here because I do too many rants, Marty.
Next game. It's the Cowboys, your old 1.5 point favorite against the Jets. Now, Braylon Allen is out. So it's just going to be a Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. The Cowboys defense has not been very good. They've been in shootouts. So how is Fields going to spread the ball? Dump offs to Breece, Garrett Wilson, the tight end. For the Cowboys, CD obviously out. Javonte Williams just keeps getting the ball and goes 3 yards in a cloud of dust and falls over for a touchdown. Ferguson has been really hot for the Cowboys. Are the Jets able to shut down Ferguson? And as you mentioned earlier, Miles Sanders is out. So we're going to see the rookie come in. How much time do you think he's going to get here in this game?
So sorry, I was a little distracted because I'm looking at Jacob's other thing there. I just don't want him to make him think I'm forgetting. He showed us his lineup. There it is right here. I'll just
Bring it up, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just looking, and I see you only have one IR spot if you're still with us, Jacob. I don't even know if I would wait, man. 12 man. You got May. I was looking to see when May's bye week is. I think it's relatively late, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's week 14. I know Caleb has looked the part, but I'm guessing in a 12 man that because it's a bye week, you could probably drop Caleb Williams to pick up Taysom Hill and worry about a backup quarterback at another point. The other guys are okay, but you got some home run guys there. You got some situational guys like you're using DeMarcado and Dowdle and even Bourne, who got you through on Thursday. So I think I would drop Caleb and then just worry about picking him up again later. You're going to have to drop somebody anyways to get CD off in another week or two. So figure it out then. So I would drop Caleb, pick up Taysom Hill, and just throw him in a tight end. I'd imagine he's going to be active. I can't see a world where they're not. He's been practicing at quarterback and tight end this week. They're going to use him. They need him. They're going to use him. But to this game, Cowboys offense.
Yeah. Both Taysom.
Go ahead.
I was going to say both Taysom and Foster Moreau are scheduled to be active into play this weekend.
Right. So if you only have one IR spot, or you can wait for Juwan Johnson to be out if you have two IR spots, but I would just do it tonight because somebody's going to get wind of it. Taysom Hill is like a folk hero. And I feel like he's available in my leagues until I'm on here talking and the people I play against are watching. They're going to scoop him. I scooped him last week when I got wind of him practicing in one dynasty league. Threw him on IR. I just took him off IR about an hour ago. And I'm actually going to use him this week in that one league because I just think that the chances of him getting a touchdown are very high, whether it's on the ground, in the air, or throwing. So I think he's a slam dunk for anybody with tight end issues. Cowboys and Jets, Fields look great. Wilson, no Braylon Allen, but they'll continue to use Breece Hall and the rookie in there. They'll use Isaiah Davis. The Cowboys, Jaden Blue, finally going to get some burn with no Miles Sanders. Javonte still looks good. He looked good against the Packers last week. You can run relatively decent on the Jets. The tight ends are where the Jets get killed, so Jake Ferguson will have a good game in this one. Jalen Tolbert, I just don't think is worth it. I actually had him starting, and I was like, I just don't feel good about it. So he's who I dropped to pick up Isaiah Bond, like I was talking about earlier, that I'm going with him in one of my leagues this week, actually my most important league. I love him. I love Jalen Tolbert, but he just doesn't capitalize. He's far too often not looked at by Dak. So I'm going to be rooting for the Jets in this one just because I'm a big Justin Fields fan. For whatever reason, I can't figure out why, but I am. I just feel bad for him. I feel like he gets the short end of the stick no matter where he goes.
The question, Mason Taylor or Taysom Hill?
That's a great question. Because the Cowboys stink against tight end as well. Now, Mason Taylor was injured throughout the week, but Taysom Hill was really injured leading up to this. I think I will go with Taysom. But listen, it's week 5. We're done with part 1 of the season. It's time to throw some Hail Marys. Again, this goes back to like that question we saw before. If you just need a standard baseline tight end line, 6 points, right? 3 receptions for 40 yards, something like that. If that's all you need, I think you're safe with Mason Taylor. But if you want to shoot for the fences, which is what I want to do, I'm throwing Taysom Hill in there if I have him or if I have somebody expendable. And to me, to Jacob, I think a backup quarterback during their bye week is expendable because you can probably scoop him up again at some point. Or somebody better.
Next game, the Giants are playing the Saints. So we've been talking about the Saints and the tight ends. The Saints are favored by 1.5, which surprised me. Now, one thing I mentioned last week, I think to you.
Effect.
Yeah. Now, I said that Dart really brought this energy to the whole team. It just seemed to lift them up, even with Neighbors out. They just seemed to have this confidence around them. Does Dart continue that there in against the Saints in the Dome? Obviously, Scatterboo is going to be a focus feature here. On the Saints side, Olave, in that sheet that I said targets, and we had a lot of questions over the week. Should we start Olave? Should we start Olave? He's been getting a lot of targets. Does that continue? And then with the running backs, with all the running back issues, I think one person I'm looking to see, he got a little bit of burn last week, is Kendre Miller, and to see what's going to happen with him. So what's your thoughts here on the Giants and Saints? Who should we be focusing on, and who should we sit?
Yeah, Miller's been actually looking really good, better and better each and every week. If he could stay healthy, we've been saying this for 2 years now. His first problem was his coach didn't like him, and that coach is gone. The second problem was every time he would get playing time, he'd get hurt. He is the heir apparent to what the heck? Why can't I think of his name? Alvin Kamara. He's the same type of dude. He's not Alvin Kamara, but he's the heir apparent. That's why he was drafted, to be that type of guy. But his head coach didn't like him. He couldn't stay healthy, but he's got a new head coach. He's staying healthy. He's producing, and I like him. The Giants' defense is looking a little bit better, but it's a week-to-week thing. And the Saints are at home. The Giants look decent enough last week. I agree with you on Dart. I think here's the play. Here's the if we were on Tuesday, this is another guy that would have been on the 5 guys for your eyes. So far, it would have been Mr. Isaiah Bond, which would have been the layup because he's all over the waiver wire stuff. It would have been Taysom Hill, and it would have been this guy, Jalen Hyatt. Remember that name? Well, Neighbors is done for the year. This is Jalen Hyatt's probably last chance to prove he belongs in the NFL. He's been buried on their depth chart. I know they got bologna sandwich, Wan'Dale Robinson there, gobbling up targets. They got Slayton, who's a one-trick pony. They got my boy Theo, who somebody asked about earlier. But Jalen Hyatt's going to get ample playing time in this game. And if he can do what I think he's capable of doing, he's going to be a guy that for the rest of the season, you're going to wish you would have jumped on before week 5. I really do think so. He's got the talent. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy or crack the starting lineup, but now he gets the opportunity of a lifetime. So I think Jalen Hyatt is somebody you have to have your eye on. He would have been number 1 this week on the 5 guys. And I think that's who I'm looking at in this game. Now, are you using him this week? Hell no. But he's somebody that you have to watch because he could definitely pop off in this game. And for the Saints, for me, it's Olave. I know that there's the Shaheed truthers out there. But it's Olave. It's Taysom Hill. And, Kendre Miller in a week of our broken running backs. Why not? Why not?
All right. Next game, the Texans favored by 1.5 at the Ravens. Obviously, the big news is Lamar is out, potentially for a few weeks until after their bye week. For the Texans, a lot of people are talking about Marks. Is he going to be the key here? And then we've talked about the Stroud and their receivers. Collins has been doing well. Kirk, not too much. We're waiting for him. With the Ravens, like to blitz a lot. I think Kirk's going to have opportunities here. For the Ravens, Cooper Rush taking over. Is this a heavy Derrick Henry game and their sorted running backs? What do you see from the Ravens' point of view now that Cooper Rush is leading the helm for this next couple games?
Well, the Ravens defense has been not good by any means, and now they're banged up. And on top of that, their starting quarterback is injured. So it's going to be tough going. This is the reason that the Texans are favored on the road. The Texans' offense has been fine, but the problem has been their offensive line is not giving Stroud enough time. And when Stroud has enough time, he's been inaccurate. And this is the same exact issues he had last year. Was a little bit better last week, I feel like, when they realized, hey, I got this guy, Woody Marks, I can get the ball to out of the backfield. So I think that's going to go a long way. I also think Kirk really helps him in this. His first game back last week. I like Kirk to have a nice game in this one because they're going to have to realize they got to get the ball out quick and over the middle. Like you said, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was Rob, one of you guys, you said Kirk over the middle, get the ball out quick, and that's what they're going to need to do. You're obviously going to play Nico. I think Higgins, we're just all waiting for him to show up. I hope he doesn't show up this week because my opponent is in a bind and had to play him, which means Higgins will have a big game. So put him in your DFS teams because he'll be super cheap. And because I said so, he'll have a big game because they're going against a beaten up, not so good secondary. And on top of that, they're going to get a lot of short fields because I know it's Cooper Rush. I know he can do better than most backups, but it's not Lamar. It's not Lamar. So he did fine with the Cowboys when he had to. But it's not Lamar. So I think this Texans defense will be able to handle him and force him into a few mistakes. But if you've been rolling with Flowers or using Bateman as a flex, obviously Henry likely will be back. So that's going to be a big boost to them as well. So their offense will do fine in this one. I think it's going to go over this 40.5, mostly because Jaden Higgins is going to blow up and screw me.
All right.
Next like game. My sunburn, by the way. I was out picking apples all day today. I didn't notice how sunburned I was until I see myself. I look like an apple.
I thought you put on some makeup, for the cameras. So
I did that too.
Thanks for clarifying. Thanks for clarifying that. All right. The Dolphins, 1.5-point favors in Carolina. Now, obviously, the big news last week: Tyreek Hill out. Waller coming back in last week and made a big impact. Not a lot of playing time, but when he was in, he scored 2 touchdowns. What do we see? Ashawn and Waller and Waddle. Our Ollie Gordon hasn't been doing too much. He got a little bit of time last week. For the Panthers, my 1-5 guys for your eyes, Hunter Renfrow, has not done as much as I thought. They haven't been targeting him. Obviously, Tet. The big news, Chuba Hubbard is out, so we go back to a former Cowboy there, Rico Dowdle starting. What do you see here in the Dolphins and Panthers? And with all the injuries at running back, is Dowdle someone that you'd want to stick into your lineup, or would you rather go with someone else?
As far as the Dolphins go, I mean, the cat's out of the bag in this one. Malik Washington, he was a 5 guy for your eye. His rookie year, which I think was last season, never could really get on the field. Had that one end-around touchdown last year. But now he's going to jump right into Tyreek's position. If there's anybody that's close to Tyreek, it's pretty much Malik as far as the speed goes. So I think that he'll do just fine. Tua looked really good last week. I'm just waiting to end my auction, so I keep looking down here. It'll be done as soon as 10 o'clock hits. Achane, continue to go with him. The Waller situation, I feel like we've seen this with Waller and guys like him and Evan Ingram. They do this and then they get hurt. I hope that doesn't happen, but it's the old men like this or the young men that are continually injured that I continue to worry about. So if you went out and spent a ton of money or dropped somebody valuable to go and get Darren Waller because of what he did last week, I hope it works out for you. But the one thing I continue to think about, I go back to that game with Waller last Thursday, I believe it was, right? Or was that a Monday night game? Can't remember. Might have been Monday. It was Monday. And also last season with Jonnu Smith, I remember when the Dolphins didn't throw to the tight end. Now the tight end is their favorite position. So it's definitely valuable. I just hope that he stays healthy for his sake and yours if you went after him. For the Panthers, I think Leggett is coming back. Is that true? Is Xavier Leggett? Yeah. So
there's been talk that he's going to be coming back. So
I think Legatt's going to help. Tat, you're obviously starting. I've been starting him since week 1. But for the running back thing, Dowdle, okay, sure. But I think where you need to look, and this guy would have been number 2 on the 5 guys for your eyes, Trevor Etienne, Travis's little brother. I think that he's going to surprise and get a little bit of extra burn in here. And I think that he's somebody, especially as we go on, if these injuries continue with Chuba, I would not be surprised if Trevor Etienne outplays Rico Dowdle. Maybe not this week, but in the coming weeks. And I think that he can even have a spot on the field with Chuba when he gets back at the same time as sort of a 1-2 type of punch. So he would have been a 5 guy for your eye this week. He was my number 2 guy.
All right. And you're worried about Bryce. You're thinking he may be pulled at some point if they're not performing.
Listen, nobody's a bigger Bryce Young fan than me. Maybe his mother. But to have him, I know that the game was out of hand, but they pulled him so easily. And it just didn't seem like we're going to pull you to make sure you don't get hurt. It was more like we're going to pull you because I think Andy Dalton can do better. And Dalton came in and led a touchdown drive. And I was just like, uh-oh, that's not good. I dropped Bryce Young off my bench and picked up Tua before the Monday night game. So I was like, I can't even deal with it. If he ends up blowing up and being the most amazing quarterback ever, at least he's already one of my favorites. And if he doesn't, then I made the right move.
All right. Going to the late afternoon games, the Titans, we talked a little bit about them with Pollard and Ridley. They're facing the Cardinals. And the biggest question mark on the Cardinals is who to start at running back if you have to have a choice. Is it Carter or DeMarcado? You talked a little bit about DeMarcado being a 3rd down back. I think if you have a full point PPR that maybe you put him in. He had 5-6 targets last week. But Carter could be getting the goal line. It's hard to pick with that. Kyler Murray and Harrison, are they going to take off in this game? The Titans got shut out, I think, last week, if I recall. So how do you see this game? Is there anybody we should play from the Titans? And what's your focus there on the Cardinals running back situation?
Yeah, I'm not a Michael Carter hater. Like I said, I liked him as a rookie in his first couple of years with the Jets. He just could never crack and be the guy. But I just don't think that starting him or DeMarcado is a smart move this week. I know you're going against the lowly Titans, but you play Carter and DeMarcado is going to get more runs than he should have. You play DeMarcado and the Cardinals are going to blow him out, and he's not going to need to catch many passes out of the backfield. It won't get too many runs because they're running Carter. I just think it's a situation to stay of, and it really stinks because against such a soft opponent at home, it's kind of a home run spot. I feel like if it was Trey Benson, it was a home run spot. But now since it's those two, and it could be an amazing game for Michael Carter or either one. But I think it's just better to stay away from. But I think you have to continue, obviously. Nobody's benching Sheree McBride. Harrison finally came to life the second half last week. That's good. I talked about him on the show with Rob, or maybe it was in the car with Rob on the way to the concert. I can't remember. But either way, Rob and I were talking about him, and he's actually looked a lot better than people think. A lot of the bad throws have been Kyler. But they'll score points, and they'll score them early, and then this game could be a dead game, or the Titans offense could show up. We'll see if Spears helps Pollard, like both of us think that he will. I think Rob agrees to that as well. Chigakonkwo shows up and then he disappears. Same with Ridley and him being banged up. I think Ayumanor is a fine flex play in a really deep league if you have a ton of injuries. But other than that, I think you just have to sort of stay away from the Titans. I think this game of all the games is the one with the most intrigue to me because I want to see over these next 3 weeks after this week when Benson's still on IR. And I don't think we're going to be able to figure it out after this week because of what I talked about with the Titans and how the game plans, the game flow is going to go. But we got to see how this backfield is going to unfold. If you picked up DeMarcado or Carter, I don't think you could play him this week with great confidence. If you have to, at least you have a shot because it's against the Titans.
For sure. And like I said, I am really curious to see how much Spears is playing this week. If he's carrying, 20, 25%, this game could be interesting. I think he's going to bring in a dynamic that's what I'm thinking. I think this game's going to be closer than 7.5 points. I'll probably be wrong. I haven't been doing very well on these, but that's
Marty.
That's the bridge. Agree. That's a bridge scoop there.
I agree with you completely. I think Spears is that's why this game is so intriguing. It's like the Titans are going to be different than they've been all year. The Cardinals are also going to be different than they've been all year. They don't have a stud RB1 that can carry the load. Although Benson was helping Connor early on, it was still one stud guy, really. And then when Connor went down, same thing. This game's intriguing to see how these teams are going to unfold for these next couple of weeks with the players they're getting back and the players they lost. Real quick, before we go next one, I want to throw up this because he's been waiting patiently. It involves one of your original bridge bonus, Mr. Torrey Horton. And I'm going to go with Horton, I think. Njoku, going against the Vikings, I know that they're using Fannin more as a wide receiver. But he was a little banged up coming in the week, but I kind of like this game for Torrey Horton this week. I don't know why I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, Marty, before we get into it. So TR even FR or Trevin FR. Either way, I hope you stuck around. I'm going with Horton.
Yeah, I was going to be patient with Horton. He's done a few things just to give you a little bit of hope. With Gabriel, I'm just wondering if he's going to be going more to the tight ends, and right. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But
so who are you picking? Because you get to pick too.
Njoku.
Okay, so
I'm going Njoku.
We'll have to see. So
we're split.
I like it. All right, go with your gut.
All right.
No,
here it is. That's awesome.
My oldest son is down here. He should be sleeping, but he's standing next to me, making noises. He wants to say hello. You can't hear them. Say hello.
Hello.
He says hello. All right, go back upstairs. I'll be there in a little bit.
We're almost done. All right.
I don't know what to do, so I want to stay down here and watch.
All right, you can stay down here and watch. Just got to do it quietly.
All right. Next game, which I was saving with Buccaneers at the Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 3.5. But Irving's out. We've talked at length about the running back situation. Obviously, Evans is out, but you've got Godwin, Ibuka. I think Otten's healthy again. For the Seahawks, their defense has been playing really well. Walker has been doing okay. JSN, what do you see here with the Buccaneers and Seahawks? Anyone we should maybe stay away from in this game?
I don't really think so. It's going to be tough, 12th man in Seattle. I just have visions of the 12th man going wild after Torrey Horton returns another punt. And I kind of feel like Witherspoon, one of their secondary defensive backs, I believe he's playing. Nothing wrong with him that I've heard. I feel like he's going to get a pick six on my boy Baker. I don't know why. I just have these bad feelings about the Bucs going into Seattle in this one. I love the Bucs, mostly just because I love Baker, and I root for them, even though I should not as a Packers fan. But I feel like going in here is going to be tough. I just see a Baker being banged up all week. I feel like a pick six is on the horizon, a punt return, all sorts of chaos going good for the Seahawks. It's sort of what I'm feeling. Just sort of bruise up that way. The Bucs last year couldn't pull off the come from behind that they've been doing. It seems like every single week this season, and I just feel like the wheels might fall off just a little bit in this one. But you got to go with Ibuka. But with no Bucky there, I just feel like it's a little bit of turmoil. I know that they'll go with Tucker and White's still playing. I do like Godwin in this one, so long as he's healthy. Second game back. So I think that you play fine with them. And I like Torrey Horton, just gave the nod to him over Njoku. I know you went with Njoku, but I feel like he's going to really, really start to become their number two because Cooper Kupp's just not it. His career, it seems like, is dwindling. I feel like they gave him way too much money. They paid for his name and not his ability at this point in his career.
Yeah, for sure. I have all the confidence in Torrey. As I mentioned, I had him as one of the bridge bonus a few weeks ago, and I just give it time, and I think he will be a name that people will be talking about quite a bit as we move on through the season.
And by the way, before we go on, the Seahawks, they have two former Five Guys for Your Eyes as their top two tight ends, and they both splashed over the last 2 weeks. Mr. Elijah Arroyo and A.J. Barner. A.J. Barner is Gronk Jr., I'm telling you right now. If you are watching this game for whatever reason, whether you have the Sunday ticket or whatever, just keep an eye on him. Those two guys I feel like are really helping Darnold out, whether it be blocking or getting the type of passes that they're getting. I just think they have the best two tight ends tandem in the league. Two really young and up-and-coming guys. Arroyo's a rookie. Barner's in his second year. All they had to do is get rid of Fant and all the other guys that were Colby Parkinson and people like that were clouding up the room. Those two guys, I think the Seahawks are going to roll in this one. And I don't like it because I don't really like the Seahawks and I really like Baker. But I just have a bad feeling.
All right. Next game, the Lions going down I-75 to the Cincinnati Bengals. Lions favored by 10.5. Obviously, I think you're playing everyone on the Lions side. For the Bengals, just question marks. Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, Higgins. Do you play any of those? I have people wanting to trade Chase and not play Chase. Jamar Chase, that is. He's pretty much a number 1, number 2, or number 3 pick. Do you give up on him? What do you do with the Bengals here? And do you think the Lions are just going to blow them out again? The Bengals defense hasn't played well. They haven't scored much over the last 2 weeks. So what do you expect in this game? A pretty high over and under here on a late Sunday afternoon in Cincinnati.
Yeah, had we had a show on Tuesday, if Rob and I were not at the concert, I would have said, because it's the NFL, because it's fantasy, because whenever you think this is going to happen, something else happens, I would have said, wouldn't surprise me if the Niners win this game. And you could say the same thing in this one, because this one's even with the Niners without all of their players, this one's even more egregious. This one's like the Bengals, who become the Bungles, when really only just one player is different. It just seems like there's no way the Bengals can win this game. The way the Lions are rising, the way the Bengals are falling, but it wouldn't surprise me. But I don't think I would put a single dollar on the money line for the Bengals. I really, you know who I like in this one? And I bet he was in starting lineups, and then people got really mad after like week 2 or 3, and they put him on their bench, and he's been sitting there. Jameson Williams. I think Jameson Williams is going to have a huge game in this one, probably 2 touchdowns. If I was betting 2+ touchdown person this entire week, I think I'd take Jameson Williams because I just think that Goff's going to be looking to get him involved. Goff is always better at home, but against a soft defense like this, I think he'll be able to take advantage and just hit JMO twice for 2 of those big ones where he just takes it and runs the house. We've seen the Amon-Ra show. We've seen the Gibbs show. Montgomery disappeared last week, but it's time for JMO to shine, and I kind of feel like he's going to be the big one. So I think he's a great DFS play because you could probably get him cheap right now. And for the Bengals, you just have to continue to trot out Chase and probably Higgins and Chase Brown as well. I would imagine with all these injuries, and it's going to be tough, but they're going to be on the field the whole time. They're going to be needed. I think the one thing that would help the Bengals right now is if they picked one of their 6 tight ends and just stuck with them and stopped rotating 5, 6 of them in there. It's not, I don't know. No one else does this. No one else does this, but they do it. They have so many, and there's just no consistency at that position. I feel like it hurts everybody.
I'm going out on a limb on this, so you can check on me next week. But I think Jamar Chase is going to have a breakout game. You're finally going to see something happen with him.
Yeah, you know why?
See.
You know why? Yeah, and people are probably sick of him, even though he was the number 1 overall pick. They're probably like, I'm just going to bench him this week. This team sucks. They're going against the Lions. The Lions rule the world. And that's when it happens. That's when it happens, Marty. So I like it, and I'll be rooting for it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but I think it's time. And the Lions are a perfect team to do it against.
Perfect team.
All right. The Commanders traveling out to Los Angeles, playing the Chargers. Chargers favored 2.5, over under 47.5. Daniels is back in the lineup for the Commanders. McLaren is still out. So for the Commanders, as a JCM running game, Daniels running against a pretty tough Chargers defense. And we've talked a lot about the Chargers. McConkey is a guy you think that's going to have a good game. What about their running game? Hampton's done really well. What do we see? Herbert's been having a really good year so far, a little down last week. And obviously, we talked about the offensive line for the Chargers. They have a couple players banged up, so we think it's going to be really quick passes out. How does that affect Quentin Johnston? People are very high on him. I think we already talked about Ladd, so I think you're focusing on Ladd as having a pretty good game here. What's your thoughts on the Commanders and Chargers?
Yeah, I think Herbert, after that embarrassing loss last week, is going to come out pretty PO'd at home. I think the Commanders are going to be able to put up points with Jaden Daniels being back, even though the Chargers defense, I still think is the best in the league. I think that they'll be able to do fine with Jaden Daniels back there. So I like the Chargers offense to stay in the game the whole time, not taking the foot off the gas for both of those reasons. And I mentioned earlier in the show, this is the Ladd McConkey game with the offensive line problem, with the defensive line of the Commanders. Get the ball out quick over the middle. That's why I also kind of like Keenan Allen in this one, because he's the possession guy. But Ladd McConkey over the middle. Hampton's been killing it the past couple of weeks. He's a stud. We said that before the week 1 show. I absolutely loved him. Tried to get him in every league. Only got him in one. It'll be tougher, but I think he's a good enough running back that it'll work, because I think that Herbert's going to be picking them apart in the secondary and over the middle and the intermediate. For the Commanders, no McLaurin. Debo, I think, is a little banged up. I like that Chris McCaffrey's little brother there, or his cousin, or whatever he is, Luke. I love that he's finally getting some burn. That's very nice to see because he was thought to be something as a rookie last year and did nothing. I'm not using him in fantasy, not in this game, but I like that there's other pieces being thrown in there, Brown and things like that. And Zach Ertz still is alive if you're using him. Okay. But for me, this game is going to be the Chargers taking out all their aggressions on the Commanders after last week. And Ladd McConkey will be the biggest beneficiary.
All right. Let's go to the Sunday night game. A lot of talk about the Patriots quarterback, Drake May. He's playing against the Bills. They're in Buffalo. Bills favored by 8.5. A pretty high over-under, 49.5 there. So what are you seeing here? That we talked about the Patriots running game, and then like you said last week, Diggs showed up. May's been playing really well so far this season. Hunter Henry for the Bills. Coleman has sort of disappeared. James Cook has been the man. Obviously, Allen's been doing fantastic running the ball. So with the Patriots and Bills and AFC East matchup, who are we focusing on this game?
Yeah, I think the only one you can play with any sort of confidence outside of James Cook for the Bills is Shakir, because he just quietly gets you a handful of receptions, a handful of yards. Last week had a really good week. I like him in this one. Vegas just gives no love to the Patriots. That's what this is saying. The Patriots have looked really, really good. They've looked relatively bad. So I feel like that's sort of the team they are. Bunch of growing pains. But the only reason that I am truly interested in this game is because what is Stefon Diggs going to do and say to Buffalo players in this game? Because I mean, he's got a mouth and he's got a persona, and I think that's what's going to make this game fun to watch. I like Drake May. I said, I think it was with Rob a week ago on our show before last week. I said I like Drake May more than Bo Nix, and I like Bo Nix. So I like everything Drake May is doing. It's exactly what I thought we would see this year. He looked really good last year. He's continued to part. Kyle Williams, their first draft pick they picked in the third round this past year, yet to really do anything. They're continuing to stick with Mr. Booty and Douglas, and now with Diggs coming in, and Henry does what he does, is scored 2 touchdowns 1 week, and then he'll disappear for a week or two. But this game is going to be a really good one. I think they picked a good Sunday nighter for this one, especially with the Patriots being good. The line is surprising. I would not be surprised if the Patriots cover, and this is a 6 or 7 point game when all said and done. I'm watching for Stefon Diggs in this one. And while I recommended many quarterbacks over Drake May, I would be okay playing Stefon Diggs, which is tough for me to say because I'm a sit-down old man type of fella. I'd be okay playing him in this game, especially as a third wide receiver or flex. I just think he's got a chip on his shoulder with the Bills. And usually when that happens with wide receivers, they make other teams pay.
All right. Yeah, really good Sunday night game. I want to see if the Patriots can start running the ball with their two-headed monster here, Stevenson, and the rookie.
It'd be nice, right?
We'll see. I think they can run on the Bills. I think they're going to want to. They're going to want to keep the ball away from that Allen in the offense. We'll see how that works out for them.
100%.
Monday night, the Chiefs. I've got this color coded a little off. Anyway, the Chiefs 3.5 point favors going down to Jacksonville. Talked a little bit about Jacksonville before. Now the Chiefs, I think you're going to see some. Pacheco showed up a little bit. He still doesn't look fantastic, but obviously with their wide receivers getting intact, Rice will be back in a few more weeks. But Worthy's in there. Kelsey got a little bit of movement. Hollywood. Mahomes looked a little bit more like himself, and I think when those receivers are out there, it's going to open up the running game. But do we see Richard? Do we see Richard appear in this game? For the Jaguars, ETN's been playing fantastic. Lawrence hasn't been too bad. He just hasn't been able to connect with Thomas. So what do you see here with the Jaguars? Did the Jaguars have a chance to upset the Chiefs there? The Jaguars are 3-1.
As far as the Chiefs go, after week 1, I gave a 5 guy for your eye of Mr. Tyquan Thornton. I said they just missed him on deep ball after deep ball after deep ball. That's their play. They're going to keep going to it, and that they did. However, now I have to get off of the Tyquan Thornton. So if you got on the Tyquan Thornton, you might be a week late and probably too late this week to get rid of him. But I think Xavier Worthy coming back spelled his demise. And that stinks because he was a first-round draft pick for the Patriots, finally got a shot, made some great plays, had a couple bad throws, take away a bunch of great plays. But he's back down the list. He's behind Juju Smith-Schuster, and we're 2 games away from Rashee Rice coming back. So when he comes back, the Tyquan Thornton experiment is all but over, which stinks because I was rooting for the guy. I was rooting for him ever since he was a rookie. The running backs you mentioned, 1 week later on 5 Guys for Your Eyes, I told you about a running back named Brashard Smith. And I said, this is a guy to watch because for 2 weeks, Isaiah Pacheco doesn't look very good. And they're going to want to fix that. And here we are before week 5, and there's chatter all around about Mr. Brashard Smith. Finally, the professionals, the people that get paid to do fantasy football are finally talking about Brashard Smith 3 weeks after I was telling you about him. And I've been telling you about him every single week since. And now the coaches and the reporters are asking the coaches specifically about him. They gave him more plays than they ever gave him last week, and he exploited and produced on all of those. And that's going to continue to grow. And if he has a good week this week, Monday Night Magic, and you don't have him on your team yet, you're not getting him. Because everyone is going to be watching this game. So if he has a Jamal Charles moment while everybody's watching, you're too late. So you get him now. And listen, if he sucks, you cut him. But he doesn't suck. That's the thing. He's going to give them the juice they need. Kareem Hunt is, I think he just turned 57. And Isaiah Pacheco looks like he's 57 the way he's running the ball. And I mean no respect to any 57-year-olds right out there because I'm pretty close. But I'm also not trying to run a football. Brashard Smith is a rookie. He's got the young legs. He's quick. He can catch the ball. He can pass protect. This is going to be the game that puts him on the map nationally. And that's who I'm looking for. The Tyquan Thornton you have to get off. Xavier Worthy. Every single week, and it continued last week. Noah Gray's percentage of snaps is going up. Kelsey's is going down. It's continuing. Is it drastic? No, but it's going down, and one's moving up, the other one's going down. As this year goes on, we're going to see more Noah Gray so that they can keep Kelsey fresh for the playoffs because that's what they didn't have really last year was a healthy Kelsey, and Super Bowl is what they want. For the Jags, I think BTJ they're going to need him. Trevor Lawrence, you said he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been great. He's still Daniel Jones at his worst to me. That's just all I see. And if they didn't put him on such a high horse coming into the league, I don't think that he'd be a starting quarterback anymore. But he had posters and commercials and I collect sports cards. He had his own set. It was like the Trevor Lawrence set. And it was him in different poses and different outfits. And it was stuff from the early 90s that you would see. And he was the bee's knees. He was sliced bread. He was Miracle Whip. And it just hasn't amounted to anything. The one super positive this team has, which I think is going to get a lot burned in this one, Parker Washington. Really like him against this Chiefs defense. And, of course, big bro, Travis Etienne, continues to get it done. Will the Jags keep it close? I don't know. I don't think so. But they could. They're at home. It's Monday night. It's the NFL. But I think the Chiefs win this one. I think they're going to start firing on all cylinders here. I did call them beating the Ravens pretty easily, and it happened that way. So we'll see.
Yeah, Mahomes is getting his weapons back. He's just got that confidence again. Like I said, they're going to have to. The defenses are going to have to worry about their receivers and tight ends, and that's going to open up the running game for Richard or Pacheco or whoever. I think down the line you're going to see that open up for them, and it's just they're going to be a real dangerous team. They're going to be the Chiefs of old, I think, as we move into this season. All right, we have one. No, we don't have. We already covered that, so. Yeah, that's week 5. Anything else to add? Anything we missed here?
I don't think so. But my question that I was going to ask people, I don't know. It says we have 3 people watching. Maybe we only have 3. Maybe there's more, and this thing is just bunk. But I made my decision. I'm rolling with Rashard Smith, and I'm rolling with him over JCM, and I'm rolling with him over Trevor Etienne for the Panthers. I got them both on my team. Bijan is on a bye. Trey Benson's on IR. So my second running back, I am shooting for the fences. I said it last week with Rob on Saturday. I said it the week before with you. I said, after that 4th week ends and that first part ends, and you are forced with injuries and bye weeks to start making some Hail Mary passes, I'm okay with it if it makes sense. To me, Monday night, Rashard Smith, I need a Hail Mary. I'm going for it. I like my matchup. I like my guys versus his guys. So if you're watching, one of you 3 people, if there's only 3 or if there's more, who would you go with? Rashard for KC, who is a complete Hail Mary. I just need him to get way more, well, not way more, 10% more playing time than he got last week and score a touchdown. JCM, going against a tough rush defense, or Trevor Etienne, not Travis, Trevor for the Panthers, who I really like catching balls out of the backfield. Those are my choices. And you know who I dropped to pick up Trevor Etienne? DeMarcado. Because I picked up DeMarcado as soon as Trey Benson went on IR. And then once I caught wind of Michael Carter and thought about it, I was like, yeah, you know what? No. And I picked up Etienne because give me a rookie in there who has a shot later in the year. DeMarcado's been in the league for years. So what do you think? If 3 people could type in, who would they pick? Marty, who would you pick while we wait?
Based on your choices, Brashard.
Yeah. I feel like you go for the home run, right? When that's your 3 choices, all he's got to do is break one.
And the thing is that I think they're going to be up big. I don't think this game's going to be too close. So come to late 3rd quarter, he's going to see more burn. He is going to break one. He's
right.
I just think that's going to happen. You're going to see him early too, but I think he's going to show on Monday night.
That's
Monday Night Magic, right?
That's it. That's what I'm going for. That's why I feel like he's just got to break one while the whole world's watching, and it's a Jamal Charles moment because that's what he did. The world went nuts. He fumbled on his first carry, and Andy Reid stuck with him, and he went on to have like 2 or 3 touchdowns and huge ones Monday night. That's what I'm going for here. Jamal Charles moment.
I just wanted to end. Jeremy's been. I think I've been watching you guys for 5 years, you and Rob, and Jeremy's been around for a long time. And you mentioned a while ago, because you were talking about how you want people to start thinking and sort of what zig and zag. And he said, I've been with you guys since the end of your first year, and I'm yet to learn.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You know why? Because he won the ABG League last year.
Oh,
he was the runner-up 2 years ago in that league. We disbanded that league after this year. Jeremy felt like it had something to do with him winning it. It did not. It just had to do with I'm very busy, and which I talked about before we started doing the season. Rob's very busy, even though I was really the one running the league. And just like collecting money from another 12 people after it took me forever to collect money from 11 people in one league and 13 in another league, like I just didn't feel like doing it. And that's just pretty much what it came down to. It's like I run 2 leagues, and those leagues are highly competitive. And even though it's mostly all my friends, close friends, getting money from them to get their dues in, by the time they got in, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to do ABG league this year. And I sort of asked around, and people are like, yeah, I don't need another league. I don't need. All right, so we're done with it. Had nothing to do with you, Jeremy, but you were second place one year. You won it the next year. Sounds to me like you learned something.
Absolutely. All right. Again, answers by guests. Inside scoop from outside the box, week 5. It is at least 14 hours of football tomorrow. Have your coffee and your brunch tomorrow morning, 9:30. I'm really curious to see how the Vikings do against the Browns. I'm looking for the Bond and Njoku. We'll see how Njoku does tomorrow. So
yes, sir.
That's how we'll start off. So thanks again, everyone.
Yep.
Guess great to see you again, and please send in any questions. Yeah, thanks. Yep. I need it. I'm hurting really bad. I've got 3 major injuries right now.
Yeah, I know how that goes. All right. Well, we'll be back Tuesday, right? I'll be here Tuesday. Whether or not Marty's here or Rob's here, I'm by myself. I'll be here Tuesday. No more concerts for me. Have a great week. Good luck, and good night, everybody.